According to FINRA's Rule 6490, FINRA's role is described as in furtherance of FINRA's obligations to foster cooperation and coordination of the clearing, settling, and processing of transactions. With this in mind, if a settlement issue was discovered during an exchanged event-type corporate action, would it make sense to halt trading, discuss with the issuer ways to adjust dates in order to facilitate the clearing, settling, and processing of transactions, or halt trading, claim that deleting the trading symbol was the solution, and force all short positions to attempt to transfer into a non-tradable security that had no plans of becoming DTC eligible. It sounds like you're describing a situation where a settlement issue arises during a corporate action, specifically an exchange event type. Halt trading, discuss with the issuer ways to adjust dates to facilitate clearing, settling, and processing. This approach aligns directly with FINRA's obligation to foster cooperation and coordination of the clearing and settlement process. By working with the issuer to potentially adjust dates, the goal would be to resolve the underlying settlement issue and allow for the orderly processing of the corporate action. This minimizes disruption to the market and aims to ensure that investors receive what they are entitled to. When it comes to resolving issues, prioritizing the adjustment of dates is crucial. It ensures that all parties have a clear timeline and can work towards a common goal efficiently. Halt trading, claim that deleting the trading symbol was the solution, and force all short positions to attempt to transfer into a non-tradable security that had no plans of becoming DTC eligible. This approach seems highly problematic and contrary to FINRA's stated role. Deleting the trading symbol doesn't address the underlying settlement issue. It essentially sweeps it under the rug and prevents further trading, potentially trapping investors long and short in their positions. This attempts to force short positions into a non-tradable, non-DTC eligible security, which would create significant uncertainty and unfair challenges for those with positions in the security. Shorts would find themselves in a position of perpetual obligation, unable to locate the very shares necessary to fulfill their obligation. This is an example of a significant market inefficiency, one that should not be possible when a halt allows regulators the necessary time to anticipate every potential outcome. This action does not facilitate the clearing and settling of transactions. Instead, it appears to obstruct it and penalize a specific group of investors. Based on FINRA's stated role in facilitating the clearing and settlement of transactions, the first option, halting trading to discuss adjustments with the issuer, would be the most consistent and appropriate response to a settlement issue during a corporate action. The second option appears to be a punitive measure that would hinder the settlement process and harm investors, going against the spirit of FINRA Rule 6490. The first option aligns with FINRA's principles and ensures a fairer outcome for all parties involved. By halting trading and engaging in discussions with the issuer, the settlement issue can be addressed more effectively, maintaining market integrity and investor confidence. It's important to note that FINRA does have the authority to halt trading under certain circumstances, as per Rule 6440, particularly if there's an extraordinary event, or a potential for market disruption or uncertainty in the settlement process. However, the reasoning and the subsequent actions taken after a halt should aim to resolve the underlying issue and protect investors, not create further complications and unfair outcomes. On December 9, 2022, FINRA U3 halted trading in MMTLP before the start of the trading day. Their claim was that they had somehow neglected to recognize a potential extraordinary event related to settlement and clearance, an issue that should have been discovered in at least one of their reviews before processing the 2 iterations of the MMTLP corporate action. On December 9th, a Friday, FINRA released a UPC halt notice that informed investors, the issuer, and all of FINRA's member firms that the U3 halt of MMTLP would end concurrently with the deletion of the trading symbol, effective at the 0 hour of December 13th, the very second that December 12th transitioned into December 13th. This meant that anyone holding MMTLP long or short positions as of the close of trading on Thursday, December 8th, would have no choice but to have their positions transferred to a non-tradable, non-DTC eligible security once the trading symbol was deleted at the 0 hour of December 13th. Not only did this deprive investors of their choice to either sell or hold their position, but it also deprived many brokerages of their right to force liquidate short positions in MMTLP before the deletion of the trading symbol and cancellation of the shares. When you take into consideration FINRA's obligation to foster cooperation and coordination of the clearing, settling, and processing of transactions, why would they immediately make the decision to U3 halt trading, keep trading halted, and then delete the trading symbol, rather than attempting to foster cooperation and coordination of the clearing, settling, and processing of transactions? FINRA had the entire day of Friday, December 9th, Saturday, December 10th, Sunday, December 11th, and Monday, December 12th to communicate with the issuer and make adjustments to the dates in order to foster cooperation and coordination of the clearing, settling, and processing of transactions. And for anyone who might say that the weekend days shouldn't have counted, a granted FOIA request showed that FINRA was communicating about this issue as late as Sunday evening, December 11th. They knew how big of a problem they were creating, but they chose to go the route that was most misaligned with their obligation to foster cooperation and coordination of the clearing, settling, and processing of transactions. This choice was highly suspicious because multiple brokerages, including TD Ameritrade, which was known to have traded the highest volume of MMTLP transactions, informed their clients that they wouldn't allow new buys in MMTLP after December 8th. Their plan was to route any potential buying attempts for review and cancellation. According to TD Ameritrade and Charles Schwab, all trades in MMTLP after December 8th would be limited to closing transactions only. Their investors were under the impression that on December 9th and on December 12th, they would have the choice to either close their long position by selling to a short position holder seeking to close their obligation to locate a share that they had previously borrowed but somehow failed to locate. This accurately describes the majority, if not all, of the activity related to shorting MMTLP on December 8th. FINRA's actions seem even more suspicious when you recognize that the members on the UPC committee responsible for initiating the U3 halt represented firms that held liabilities in MMTLP at the time of the U3 halt. In other words, we know that some brokerages planned to force liquidate short positions in MMTLP beginning on December 9th. This meant that for anyone holding a short position beyond a certain time, those brokerages would force their clients to buy MMTLP at whatever price a long position holder chose to sell. The U3 halt was initiated right before this could take place. By not working with the issuer to adjust the dates in order to address the issue that FINRA somehow missed in the review of the corporate actions that FINRA created, FINRA made it so that it wouldn't be possible to put short position holders, likely the firms represented by the members in charge of U3 halting MMTLP, in a position that likely would have caused them financial turmoil. But these are the risks associated with shorting securities in the stock market. It's called infinite risk. There are numerous details left out of this real-life scenario that, when analyzed, make it very clear that this was not an example of FINRA's motto, investor protection, market integrity. In the absence of bias, just simply understanding FINRA's obligation to foster cooperation and coordination of the clearing, settling, and processing of transactions, it's difficult to understand why FINRA thought it was in the best interest of anyone, except for those potentially facing forced liquidations, to proceed in the way that FINRA did in the case of MMTLP. This concludes the presentation.